Today we're going to discuss safely and properly loading and unloading a semi-automatic pistol. Now, we all know also that the first rule of handling firearms is to handle every firearm as if it's loaded. Even if you know it's empty, you know in your mind 100% without a doubt the firearm is empty. You're going to treat it, handle it as if it's loaded. So that's the first rule. Now we've got that out of the way. Here's your semi-automatic firearm. You can see it's unloaded. The magazine well is empty. The chamber is empty. Sticking my finger in there to make sure I don't feel anything. I can look in there and make sure there are no rounds in there. So now let's talk about how we safely and properly load and unload a semi-automatic pistol. Here's your magazine. This is what holds your cartridges, or bullets, as some people like to call them. We commonly refer to them in the field as bullets. So we grab the first round. Now these are dummy rounds that I'm using for the videos because I don't want any accidents happening here, even though I'm a professional. So we grab the first round. We're holding the magazine. We take the primer end of the cartridge and we push down into the magazine, slide it in. That simple. Now you're going to bring either a finger or your thumb to the top to push this down so you can load the next round into it. Grab it again with the primer end facing the back of the magazine. Push down with your thumb here, push down, slide it back in. One more time, you're just going to keep repeating this. Push, push, slide, till it goes all the way to the back side of the magazine. Now, if you're an old guy like me, you may have some issues, some dexterity problems with your digits, your fingers. So they've come along with this relatively new invention to help you load your magazines relatively easily. This is called the Maglula Uplula. Weird name, great tool. All you do is you take, this is the top here, this is the slide that's going to help you slide your cartridges into the magazine. You slide this hole down over the magazine. When you get just above the cartridges, you squeeze it right here, squeeze it. That's going to push that top round down. You take your next round, just slide it down into the hole, release. Squeeze, push it down, slide around into the hole, release. Now this magazine is loaded. How about that? Just that simple, just that quick. You want to make sure all your rounds are pretty much touching against the back of the magazine. So this is a good way to do that. Now this magazine's loaded and ready to be inserted into the handgun. So you're going to take your pistol, you're going to hold it in your shooting hand with your finger outside the trigger guard, rule number 2 for safe firearm handling. You're going to take your magazine with the bullets facing towards the muzzle of the gun. You're going to push it up into the magazine well until you hear it click. Then you can just go ahead and give it a tug to make sure it's properly seated in there. Now, we're going to drop the slide. We're going to let this go forward. We're not going to slide it forward. We're going to let it go forward all by itself, okay? So I have it locked open. I've got to pull it back slightly, release the lock. Now I'm going to let it slide forward by itself because that's how these things are designed to operate. They're not designed to be pulled back and gently pushed forward. That's where you get jams. Let this thing do its own job. You're going to pull it back till it stops, release it, let it slide forward. Now there's a round chambered. Now this gun is loaded and ready to go. So now what do we do with it? If we want to make it safe, well, if we're going to carry it, we're going to holster it. If we're ready to unload it, here's how you unload it properly and safely. The first thing you do is you release the magazine. You eject the magazine. So to do that, your magazine releases here, usually on a right-handed firearm. You're just going to take your thumb, push that. The magazine should drop out. It may or may not. It drops out a little bit, so I'm going to give it a pull it out of there. Only one problem. I chambered a round. I still have a live round in the chamber. So how do I get that out of there? Well, most of the instructors that I ever worked with tell you just to go ahead and rack it. Let that round fly out of there. Rack it 3 times and make sure there are no rounds left. Well, I have a problem, and this is just a personal thing, but I have a problem with live rounds flying around on their own, especially in a closed environment like this. If you're outside, you might lose that round. In an environment like this, it's going to bounce around. It's going to hit this table or bounce onto the floor. It's got a live primer and a live powder and a live round. So if that thing hits anything sharp, I know the chances are slim, but if that thing hits anything sharp, it could discharge. So what we're going to do to safely remove this live round from the chamber, is you're going to take the overhand grip on your slide. We're going to take our fingers and cover the ejection port. Now, instead of sliding the slide back, I want to be able to control this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the frame forward, and that will open the ejection port and eject the round. Now, where's that round going to go? Into my hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to push the frame forward, tilt the gun over to the side. There it is. It's not flying around the room live looking for a place to discharge. So now we're going to double check everything, because what's the rule one? Handle all firearms as if they're always loaded. So we're going to make sure it's not. Look into the magazine well, it's empty. Lock the slide open. Now we can look down in here, put your finger in there, whatever you want to do with it. Now we know this firearm is safe. So now you know how to properly and safely load and unload your semi-automatic pistol.